People are always asking, about the history of the U.S. Air Force flash teams. Well, first of all, the flash teams are America's hitmen. They are the Navy SEALs, but they're Air Force. Okay? They operate exactly, they train exactly like U.S. Navy SEALs or the Green Berets or MARSOC, but they're more similar to the SEALs. And they fight on land, air, and sea. It might seem odd that the U.S. Air Force has commandos on the ground, but so does the Navy. 50 miles in a desert, nowhere near a sea, there are Navy people fighting. So each branch of the service is everywhere. What happened back in the Vietnam War was U.S. Air Force planes were getting shot at by some kind of mobile anti-aircraft weapon, a truck, below the canopy, below the jungle, and the Air Force couldn't see where it was coming from. Well, they had no one who could go in. They were Air Force pilots and navigators and missiles and air traffic control. So they called the Army and said, can you go in and have a look and destroy this thing? And the Army gave them the finger. Then they called the Marines, the same thing, and they called the SEALs, who already existed, and they said no. So the Air Force had a problem. They needed to train their own guys to do that. So they took guys, volunteers from security force. They were the only physical people in the Air Force, and kind of copied the U.S. Ranger training program to train a couple of hundred Air Force guys as like Rangers to go in and look for this vehicle and destroy it. And it worked. It was a success. Some years later, a U.S. Air Force pilot was shot down and they needed to go in and try to rescue him. Again, they called Army, Navy, Marines. So they sent in the same unit, but they realized they had to train some of them to be like doctors and nurses to get in by parachute or by walking or ground and get in and give medical aid to this shot down navigator and pilot and get them out. So you need commando doctors to go in and commando doctors to go out. And it kept evolving because simply put, the Navy, the Army, and the Marines gave them the finger, so they trained their own people. And it got to a point where they just wanted to find an enemy Air Force base and blow it up, destroy the enemy aircrafts, and even kill with sniper the enemy pilots and navigators. And they started to realize that they were training exactly like the Navy SEALs. And they had funny names like PJ, which was para-rescue. That means jump and also dive. And they had combat control, which was a guy who goes into enemy territory and radios the U.S. Air Force pilots where the targets are. And then another strange thing happened during the war is U.S. Navy SEALs were going to jump from a U.S. Air Force plane. And the Air Force wanted to make sure that that plane is not shot out of the sky. So 2 days before the jump, they sent in their flash team, 4 or 5 guys, make sure the coast is clear. And then when the U.S. Navy SEALs jumped, they were safe. No one was shooting at them. But the flash guys, their mission was make sure that plane doesn't get shot down. They weren't worried about the SEALs. They were worried about Air Force, the property. When the SEALs landed, these Air Force guys were already trained like SEALs. They joined them for the mission. At a certain point, they separated, and the Air Force guys returned home. But because the Navy, the Army, and the Marines would not service the Air Force trained its own guys, exactly like Navy SEALs. Nowadays, if you want to be a Navy SEAL, you could go join the Navy, go right ahead. Or you could turn left and go into the blue room where the Air Force is and tell them I want to become a Flash. Flash is F-L-A-S-H. It means Air Force, land, air, sea. The H maybe means go to hell. I don't know. But like SEAL, which is S-E-A-L, Flash is F-L-A-S-H. And if you want to join, talk to a recruiter. You need a higher grade point average to get into the Air Force than the Navy. You got to do your 20 pull-ups, your 50 push-ups, your 100 sit-ups. You got to run and all of that. You'll go directly to Flash training, okay? And you'll become what we call a hitman, a U.S. American hitman. You assassinate, you kidnap, you destroy. You do all the stuff that you see in the movies that the SEALs do. Well, you never see movies about MARSOC, U.S. Marines, or Green Berets, or Air Force Flash. It's always SEALs. Why is that? Well, because the Navy decided years ago to kind of sleep in bed with Hollywood and make a lot of movies promoting the SEALs. They got tired of not having any muscle. Because in all of the propaganda, it's Army muscle and Marine Corps and Air Force fighter pilots. Navy were guys at sea pulling ropes around and making posters with biceps, but they really didn't have any tough guys. The Marines are not the Navy. So the Navy SEALs became the focus of tough guys in the U.S. Navy. and they got a lot of movies made. Air Force has never been interested in that, neither MARSOC Marines, neither Green Berets, but the reality is, if you're interested in becoming a Navy SEAL, you could go join the Navy. They're good. You could also join MARSOC Marines, Green Berets. They are the same. But U.S. Air Force flash teams are exactly trained like Navy SEALs. They go with Delta, they go with CIA, FBI, drug enforcement, they assassinate, they kidnap, they destroy. They do everything Navy SEALs do, but the difference is they are blue, okay? I can't tell you who I am. It doesn't matter who I am. But if you're interested in becoming a hitman or a tough guy, talk to an Air Force recruiter. Okay, bye-bye to everybody.